Here's more wrestling news for January 9th, 2023. And we're starting off with CM Punk, who hasn't appeared for AEW since September for his role in the backstage fight at All Out. While many expect Punk to be done in AEW, Tony Khan has kept quiet on his official status, and now he may be able to make a return. On his FTR podcast, Dax Harwood said how he hopes Punk comes back and he and the Elite can make things work, and that may happen if business doesn't improve. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer writes that with AEW's numbers on the downturn, Punk could have some serious leverage if he is planning a comeback. On Instagram, Punk recently disclosed that he had the most viewed video on AEW's YouTube channel in 2022 and was the top action figure seller of the year, numbers that Tony Khan will likely take into consideration. Meltzer even went as far as to say that Punk could be back around April or May, when he should be healed fully from tricep surgery, and that coincidentally, this is around the time that FTR's contracts are set to expire. Some talents have refused to work with Punk if he is brought back, and Chris Jericho is reported to be leading a team to ensure Punk is gone for good, in what could be the greatest test of Tony Khan's leadership the AEW president has ever faced. From a shocking potential comeback to a shocking comeback that's actually happened, as Vince McMahon is back on WWE's board of directors. Now McMahon has said that he is back to simply oversee a sale of WWE and nothing more, but those in WWE aren't exactly buying his claim. Many feel it is just a matter of time before McMahon installs himself as CEO, chairman, and head of creative again, and that may see some superstars leave the promotion. It's been reported by PW Insider that some have threatened to quit with McMahon's return, and one name on their way out could be Naomi. It was in May of last year that Naomi and Sasha Banks walked out of Raw, and at the time, it was said they repeatedly tried to speak to McMahon about his creative direction. Naomi wanted to return to WWE with Banks, but that is no longer an option, and Dave Meltzer recently noted that with her contract, Naomi will have to make a decision on her future soon. When McMahon was gone, the decision to return seemed like a no-brainer, but given what happened between her and McMahon, coming back may be the furthest thing from her mind. While she did hold the women's tag titles last year, that win came 5 years after Naomi last held singles gold, and joining WWE alum like Saraya, Ruby Soho, Toni Storm, and Athena in AEW may be the way to go. Karrion Kross could also be on his way out of WWE with McMahon's return, as his time on the main roster during Vince's regime was hardly what anybody expected. From his ridiculous outfit to his main roster debut loss to Jeff Hardy, Kross's 2021 run on Raw was a disaster and ultimately was down to McMahon's creative direction. After his release, Kross said that he was given very little information by creative during his run on Raw, but with McMahon's retirement, Kross returned and has had high-profile feuds with Drew McIntyre and Rey Mysterio. If McMahon does usurp power as head of creative, then Kross will no doubt be concerned that what happened before may happen again. Kross has thrived in smaller promotions in the past, including Impact, and a return to that company may be what he needs if things go sideways with WWE again. Like Kross, Braun Strowman has been featured prominently since being rehired by WWE, but his tenure could end again with McMahon back on board. Fans were shocked to see Strowman be cut in late June 2021, as he had been Universal Champion just a year ago, and it was said that his high-dollar contract was a factor. The bigger reason, quite literally, for Braun's release though was that McMahon felt he was no longer needed and that Omos could replace him as WWE's resident giant. Omos is both younger than Strowman, and his contract surely is much cheaper than the former Universal Champion, and we know that McMahon will carry on with plans even when others would move on. Perhaps McMahon's return will see the demise of Strowman, as the former chairman could insist that Omos is the monster of the future. Braun's WWE return marked the end of Control Your Narrative, and if he isn't fired, he could choose to leave to focus on that promotion. From big to small now, as Johnny Gargano chose to not resign with WWE in December of 2021, but would return to the company in August last year. Sure, Gargano was one of the biggest stars in NXT, but there's no guarantee that he will have similar success on the main roster now that McMahon is back. At 5'10", Gargano isn't the giant muscle-bound powerhouse McMahon has gone for in the past, And while Gargano has held his own on Raw so far with Triple H's booking, a change of creative could spell doom for the NXT Triple Crown champion, who could choose to leave rather than being pushed out the door. One name who is certainly at risk should McMahon return to creative is Bray Wyatt, who returned to WWE just a few months ago. At the time of his July 2021 release, it was made clear that he and McMahon were far from friends and often butted heads over Bray's creative ideas. Factor in some mishandling of Bray, as we saw with Goldberg squashing The Fiend in 2020, and McMahon's return could mean Wyatt tries his luck in AEW when his contract is up. Of course, this all hinges on McMahon having more power in WWE than he currently has, and WWE has said that things on TV won't change, but do you see any of these people leaving WWE? Sound off in the comments. We've got an update from Kyle O'Reilly, who joined AEW in December 2021 but has been out of action for months. It was in October that O'Reilly informed fans of a neck surgery that has kept him out of the ring ever since, and now, months after surgery, the former NXT Tag Team Champion has spoken about his future. On Instagram, O'Reilly admitted that it sounds cliché, but this new year will see a new him, and added that he's been dealing with a post-surgical issue that has caused him a lot of frustration. O'Reilly also spoke about living with type 1 diabetes and praised a user that goes by the name The Diabetic Fighter for helping to regain control of his blood sugar levels. Concluding, O'Reilly said it felt therapeutic to write down how he is feeling and is going to keep rebuilding himself for a return he is excited for fans to see. The AEW star's most recent match came on the June 8, 2021 Dynamite, where after winning a Battle Royal, he lost to Jon Moxley, and it remains to be seen when he will be back on our screens. Now, earlier this month, William Regal made his return to WWE following his departure from AEW in December of last year. Part of Regal's conditional release from AEW means he can't appear on TV for an entire year, but there's nothing to stop him being backstage. Fightful reports that Regal was present behind the scenes at last week's SmackDown and has officially begun his new role with WWE. When NXT's Apollo Crews was asked about Regal's return by the Metro, he was optimistic for the future and pleased the Brit is back. I feel like there's a lot of young kids, not just young adults, but anybody can benefit from somebody with credentials like William Regal. If it's something that's happening, it's going to be fantastic for a lot of the younger kids, all of us, to get the knowledge and experience of someone who's so well traveled, so well versed. He's been around for as long as I've been watching wrestling, really. I'm all for. Regal has returned to WWE to be closer to his son, NXT's Charlie Dempsey, and while it'll be a while before we see William on TV, the future looks bright for the Blackpool Combat Club alum. On last week's SmackDown, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn weren't on the best of terms, with the Tribal Chief irate that Zayn cost them their match with John Cena and Kevin Owens. Later in the show, Reigns would apologize for how he spoke to the honorary Uso, and things would seem to be much better between the two, judging by a recent live event. At an untelevised show in Jackson, Missouri, Zayn, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa faced Braun Strowman and the Brawling Brutes, and Sami took a page from Roman's playbook. As fans caught on camera and shared on social media, Zayn used a Superman punch on Strowman, garnering loud cheers from the WWE Universe. Zayn's former best friend Kevin Owens will challenge Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal title at the Royal Rumble, but for now, everything is fine between the honorary Uso and the head of the table. This week, Saraya will compete in her second match for AEW, and her second match after spending 5 years out of the ring. Saraya lost a half-decade of her wrestling career due to a severe neck injury, but she recently revealed that wrestling was not her original goal in life. Speaking on Hey, EW, the former Paige expressed her love for animals, saying that she's not a big fan of people and said that her first goal in life was to become a zoologist. That didn't work out, and Saraya instead followed in her family's footsteps and dedicated her life to wrestling, and has been able to have a frankly miraculous recovery from what was once thought to be a career-ending injury. In his 2 years with AEW, Max Caster has become a popular act for the promotion and is routinely a highlight of shows with his wrestling and freestyle raps. Like many people, Caster has an opinion on Vince McMahon's return to WWE, and on Twitter said that now that McMahon is back, it may be time he recreates a photo of him flipping off Vince's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Fans responded to Caster's tweet, saying that he will likely never end up with WWE with tweets like these, but many fans said that he shouldn't want to end up in WWE anyway. Caster did try out for WWE years ago but did not make the cut, and with the Acclaimed being one of the most over acts in AEW, don't expect him to be leaving anytime soon. And we're ending today with Jeff Jarrett, and it wasn't too long ago that he debuted for AEW, and is working both on-screen and backstage. In addition to his alliance with Jay Lethal, Double J is working as AEW's Director of Business Development, and has high expectations for the company. Speaking on Talk is Jericho, Jarrett spoke about AEW's success outside of the United States, which according to Double J, is already rivaling WWE. Once you get outside the United States, the AEW brand, believe it or not, is on par with WWE. I said, I need numbers in Canada. So anyway, they came along and man, it's fantastic. The growth internationally is super exciting, it's very obvious. The focus has been on the television product, and when you really look at the strength of the brand, and I know from the quick due diligence I did, you know we have been to repeat markets already. Jarrett may believe that AEW has already reached WWE's level overseas, but it's worth remembering that the promotion is yet to host a show outside North America, but that will change this year. It was confirmed in November that AEW is coming to London, England at some point in 2023, where fans will get to see whether the company is indeed at WWE's level, as Jarrett has claimed.